Okay, page 151, about line 225. A wineskin full I brought along, and victuals in a bag, for in my bones I knew some towering brute would be upon us soon, all outward power, a wild man, ignorant of civility. We climbed then briskly to the cave, but Cyclops had gone afield to pasture his fat sheep. So we looked around at everything inside, a drying rack that sagged with cheeses, pens crowded with lambs and kids, each in its class. Firstlings apart from middlings, and the dewdrops, or newborn lambkins, penned apart from both, and vessels full of whey were brimming there, bowls of earthenware and pails for milking. My men came pressing round me, pleading, "Why not take these cheeses, get them stowed, come back, throw open all the pens, and make a run for it? We'll drive the kids and lambs aboard." We say, "Pull out again on good salt water." Okay, another mistake by Odysseus. So he goes into this cave and he sees that most of the sheep have been taken out with the Cyclops, but there's lambs and kids, and then there's all this sheep and whey and milk in the cave. So Odysseus's men are saying, "Let's get out of here." And he is not heeding them. How sound that was. Yet I refused. I wished to see the caveman, what he had to offer. No pretty sight, it turned out, for my friends. We lit a fire, burnt an offering, and took some cheese to eat, then sat in silence around the embers waiting. When he came, he had a load of dry boughs on his shoulder to stoke his fire at supper time. He dumped it with a great crash into that hollow cave, and we all scattered fast to the far wall. Then over the broad cavern floor he ushered the ewes he meant to milk. He left his rams and he-goats in the yard outside, and swung high overhead a slab of solid rock to close the cave. So imagine this big rock covering the door. 24 four-wheeled wagons with heaving wagon teams could not have stirred the tonnage of that rock from where he wedged it over the doorsill. Next, he took his seat and milked his bleating ewes. A practice job he made of it, giving each ewe her suckling, thickened his milk, then into curds and whey, sieved out the curds to drip in withy baskets, and poured the whey to stand in bowls, cooling until he drank it for his supper. When all these chores were done, he poked the fire, heaping on brushwood. In the glare, he saw us. "Strangers," he said, "who are you, and where from? What brings you here by seaways? A fair traffic? Or are you wandering rogues who cast your lives like dice and ravage other folk by sea?" Kind of ironic. The Cyclops thinks Odysseus and his men are bad guys. And since they did pillage his cheese and whatnot, they kind of are. We felt a pressure on our hearts in dread of that deep rumble and that mighty man. But all the same, I spoke up in reply. "We are from Troy, Achaeans, blown off course by shifting gales on the great South Sea. Homeward bound, but taking routes and ways uncommon, so the will of Zeus would have it. We served under Agamemnon, son of Atreus. The whole world knows what city he laid waste, what armies he destroyed. It was our luck to come here. Here we stand, beholden for your help, or any gifts you give as custom is to honor strangers. We would entreat you, great sir, have a care for the gods' courtesy. Zeus will avenge the unoffending guest." So Odysseus tries to invoke the rules of hospitality here. You know, you're supposed to be nice to strangers. Here's the Cyclops' reply. He answered this from his brute chest, unmoved. "You are a ninny, or else you come from the other end of nowhere, telling me, mind the gods. We Cyclopses care not a whistle for your thundering Zeus, nor all the gods in bliss. We have more force by far. I would not let you go for fear of Zeus, you or your friends, unless I had a whim to. Tell me, where was it now you left your ship? Around the point? Or down the shore, I wonder?" He thought he'd find out, but I saw through this and answered with a ready lie. My ship? Poseidon, Lord, who sets the earth a-tremble, broke it up on the rocks at your land's end. A wind from seaward served him, drove us there. We are survivors, these good men and I." Neither reply nor pity came from him, but in one stride he clutched at my companions and caught two in his hands like squirming puppies to beat their brains out, spattering the floor. Then he dismembered them and made his meal, gaping and crunching like a mountain lion, everything, innards, flesh, and marrow bones. We cried aloud, lifting our hands to Zeus, powerless, looking on at this appalled. But Cyclops went on filling up his belly with man flesh and great gulps of whey, then lay down like a mast among his sheep. So we have a Homeric simile, and it is describing how the Cyclops eats. Yum, yum. I'll use the C here. Cyclops eats. All right, page 154. My heart beat high now at the chance of action, and drawing the sharp sword from my hip, I went along his flank to stab him where the midriff holds the liver. I had touched the spot when sudden fear stayed me. If I killed him, we perished there as well, for we could never move his ponderous doorway slap aside. Get it? Odysseus cannot kill the Cyclops because there's no way they can move this gigantic rock that is blocking the door. So we were left to groan and wait for morning. When the young dawn with fingertips of rose lit up the world, the Cyclops built a fire and milked his handsome ewes, all in due order, putting the sucklings to the mothers. Then his chores being all dispatched, he caught another brace of men to make his breakfast and whisked away his great door slab to let his sheep go through, but he behind reset the stone as one would cap a quiver. So he eats another pair of men for breakfast and lets the sheep out, but puts the door back. So the men, Odysseus and his men, now it's down to Odysseus and 8 of them, are left there. There was a din of whistling as the Cyclops rounded his flock to higher ground, then stillness. And now I pondered how to hurt him worst. If but Athena granted what I prayed for, here are the means I thought would serve my turn. A club or staff lay there among the fold, an olive tree felled green and left to season for Cyclops's hand. Okay. So Odysseus is hoping Athena is going to help him, and lo and behold, there's an olive tree in the cave, and she made the olive tree, so kind of all matches up. And it was like a mast, a lugger of 20 oars, broad in the beam, a deep seagoing craft might carry. So long, so big around it seemed. Now I chopped out a 6-foot section of this pole and set it down before my men, who scraped it, and when they had it smooth, I hewed again to make a stake with pointed end. I held this in the fire's heat and turned it, toughening it, then hid it well back in the cavern under one of the dung piles in profusion there. Ew, he just hid his weapon under a pile of Cyclops poop. Now came the time to toss for it. Who ventured along with me? Whose hand could bear to thrust and grind that spike in Cyclops's eye when mild sleep had mastered him? As luck would have it, the men I would have chosen won the toss. 4 strong men, and I made 5 as captain. At evening came the shepherd with his flock, his woolly flock. The rams as well this time entered the cave by some sheep-herding whim or a god's bidding. None were left outside. Okay, this is a very important detail, that this evening the rams are also brought into the cave. This is going to end up being really good for Odysseus and his plan. He hefted his great boulder into place and set him down to milk the bleeding ewes in proper order, put the lambs to suck, and swiftly ran through all his evening chores. Then he caught 2 more men, now we're down to 6, and feasted on them. My moment was at hand, and I went forward holding an ivy bowl of my dark drink, looking up, saying, Cyclops, try some wine. Use liquor to wash down your scraps of men. Taste it and see the kind of drink we carried under our planks. I meant it as an offering if you would help us home, but you are mad, unbearable, a bloody monster. After this, will any other traveler come to see you? He seized and drained the bowl, and it went down so fiery and smooth, he called for more. So the plan is get good old Cyclops drunk and then try to kill him.